Hi guys, good morning. It is Monday the 25th of October. I had to think for a second there. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. My name's John, Mr. Forex Fire. We're going to head over to the chart, set up our goal posts, and then from there we'll take our break of structures as they come, and then hopefully these continuations. So it's a hot mess at the moment on the charts. We've got this up on the 1 hour. We're just having a look at where we are with regards to sort of pullbacks and things like that. We've still got the 30-minute range here with the smaller order block above it. We are still stuck in what we've had the big push. Okay, we've had like a level 1 push into a 2. We're in a distribution phase at the moment. I'm still anticipating a move to touch down into these lower blocks to then possibly push up to this higher one. So we're still stuck within that range from Friday. So that's going to be where I'm at the moment. From there, I'm just going to head into the 1 minute, pull this up, bring it in. And what we'll do is I normally draw out my path on the more prominent areas on the swing backs, because then we have a higher time frame going into the intermediary price overlay, as you can see underneath these more prominent pathways, if that makes sense. So underneath is the true 1 minute chart. However, I'm doing swing points that is very prominent within the structured time frame of the 1 minute. So like lower lows, lower highs and things like that. So that's one big push down, push up, push down, and then push up. Right. And like I say, if you're new at seeing this, if we go up a couple of time frames, you can see works out more or less to the T. So that's more or less the half-hour push, what you're seeing. So that's the half-hour sort of time frame overlaid on the 1 minute. I do that every time. It just gives me something to look at when I look at the charts, and I can see, right, we've had a pull-up on here on the zone, 50% touched on the half-hour, and it's starting to touch off. And daft little things, nuances that go like that for me. It works well for me. You don't have to do it, but it does work well for me. It just saves me going up time frames. But overall, the most important thing that you have to do is set these goalposts, because this is what I allow myself to chart from. I try not to get too involved with the charts. If I see a setup, I'll take it. If I don't, I just use the session as a marking update, if that makes sense. Just go to finish 10:30. Yeah, right. So that's where we are. We haven't quite headed into the half past 8 at the moment. However, we've got a structured break on that little bit there, but again, we've got a high point here on the higher time frame, that is. Okay, the half hour, you've got that. Go to the higher time frame just to show you. Again, this here, the reason why I've got it on here, because this wick is taking out liquidity all the way up to here. So it's more or less touched into this order block. You see here? This is more or less touched into an order block. And again, the wick hasn't quite took out the lower side on it, but it has taken out this side here. So we are working the 1 minute. I'm just sort of like giving myself some extra confluences, to be fair. So on the high side and the lower side, look for the breaks on there. Because we're not in the half hour yet, I'm not going to enter any trades. But the range, because you've had a pull up, and then a pull back down onto here. There's a range there. We're looking possibly for 50% area. You may get a bit of a pullback down onto here to then sort of bounce up here. So if we don't head to the downside, we might get a touch down into here just after the 1/2 I'll leave these marked up. We'll come back in the next 15 minutes or so and we'll see what's happening, and then we can go from structure from there, guys. But again, I am anticipating overall a move to the downside before we get that further progression to the higher supply areas. So we'll just stop the share and we'll be back in a moment. Hi there, guys. So we've marked up the charts a little bit here. Again, I'm waiting for an entry on this part here. Let's just get the magic wand out, or the fire wand. There we are. And we're going to mark these charts as we go. Again, we're going to break a structure as the euro seems to be strong. There's been a push up. I'm going to move this up to here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the moment. Again, it's within this big range on the 1/2 hour time frame. It looks like we may even get a push. It's going to push and be strong above this. The USD must be weak at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll do a footprint in a second and we'll look for these imbalance areas. So I'm going to take it from here with regards to the structure. Okay. As we always do. That's a lower high, sorry. That's a lower low. Clone. Lower high. So these structure points, these are the 1/2 hour, okay? And then we've just got the intermediary price coming down in between. And again, I'm going to take no notice of that part because it did break its structure. So we'll start marking that as well. Okay, so there's been a BOS there. From that side of things, liquidity residing up here. Liquidity there. Make that pink. And as we've come down, this is a big 1/2 hour push down. And again, the euro is just very, very strong at the moment. For some strange reason as well, my live broker account is froze on my main screen, to be honest. So I can't take any trades on that, to be fair. Let's see if I can refresh this. Not to worry. So that's where we're at the moment. I'm anticipating a move possibly down to come back up. It doesn't look like we're going to get it because this just looks as if the euro is just super strong at the moment. But again, if we were to go into the bigger picture, and just do our footprints, imbalance, that's been met. So there's a flat edge candle, buying, 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 sell, 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 sell. Mark that out. That is our imbalance as well. Big imbalance area here. So there's been a mega push, but we're leaving so many indiscrepancies, if that makes sense. There's so many indiscrepancies. You've got 3 levels of indiscrepancy going all the way down to towards the order block area on the bottom. So I'm going to pause the video from there. We'll see if this comes back down to play into where we're heading. Again, we are looking as if we're going to push up into this liquidity area here on the half-hour impulse drive. And not only that, if we do keep continuing to push, it may even push above where I've got the trend set as well on the higher side. So we'll see what happens. Again, this is a nice 1 to 4 now. We'll see if this holds structure on this bit at the moment. And we'll be back in 5 or 10 minutes, guys. Wow, we're starting to push up, guys. We've taken out that high that I was looking at. Oh, let's get this back. Excuse me. It's a break of structure there. There's 1 or 2 things that could be happening. That's a 1 to 5, 2, 3 now. See what we've got here. We've got an order block here. But there's an order block. So you could technically have a trade from this bit here. But the thing is, you've got loads of imbalance underneath as well. That there is a 1 to 3. But the issue you've got, and this is where you have to be really careful, even though that's been a break of structure from this here, you've got imbalance straight underneath, and then you've got imbalance, and then you've got imbalance. So that there is a very sketchy trade to be taken. So I would not be necessarily looking to enter from there, but we'll keep this order block on here. See, we do get a sort of reversal up from there. We'll just see, we'll get that sort of reaction, because I just think it's trying to induce people to trade from these sort of things. But hopefully this will push and drive down, get an entry from here and go to our entry on the bottom. Again, if we work upon swing points, your halfway point on your swing point, again, I'll just mark that out as this here. Now, if you look directly underneath this, let's just get rid of this. Look what's directly underneath that halfway point of the swing. There is another order block. But underneath that order block, again, if you take a look, there's imbalance immediately underneath it, you know. So I'm going to keep this marked up as we are, okay, and we can just keep an eye. Again, this might just drive and push further and further and further up, to be honest. And then, like I say, what I'll do is I'm just going to mark these areas up, and we could use that as an order block, if I'm honest with you, and I'll tell you why in a moment. If we continue to get the push, if we continue to get this push up here, let's just look to the left. Yeah. So we get this high here, push this along. This is holding liquidity in itself. Okay. So if we get the push above here, we'll get this drive and push above here, and it breaks that structure, and it breaks that structure. This then will become the order block to play from, in my opinion, But we'll pause the video, see where we are. Again, this is all about just marking up these areas of what I call points of interest and importance. And then we'll take the next step from there, guys. Okay, we'll be back in a moment. And there we have it, guys. I mean, obviously, we've got that liquidity on the high side. I mentioned the order block that was underneath. Okay, We've come in and we've touched into that. We had the break structure on the higher side. The touch of the order block has been here. It's mitigated into it beautifully. We didn't set a trade into that. Again, I do believe I said that was going to be about a 1 to 3 or so. If we'd said if you would, in fact, it would be more than that. If you were to get in, it's a 1 to 379 now. But again, too risky, far too risky for me, because underneath this order block after that break here was 1, 2, 3, right about 4 parts of imbalance before the order block on the bigger impulse on the bottom. So it was a little bit too risky for me. So at the moment, what I would possibly be looking for is a protection on the swing points. So that there, and that point there. So I'm looking for that swing point now. I want one of these two to be broken, in all honesty. Again, if I just write on the top of here, because I'm just marking things up to the 13379, so that's a 3.79, just out of interest. Put that there. Just cut out some of this noise. We know that that was an entry there on an order block. So I'll just pin that. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. And we're just going to sharpen up the chart a bit. We'll get rid of this. I'm still anticipating a push down into one of these areas, to be fair. But again, for a range at the moment, that's me range. So that's the range we're working in at the moment. So we'll be waiting for a break of either of these structures. If we get a break to the downside, take out the imbalance, the order block and the imbalance here, I'm certainly looking for the entry being along this line here. If we go higher and break this structure, which would be then that trade that I mentioned of a 3.79, I would then be using one of the order blocks down here. That's just been created on this pullback at the moment, if that makes sense. Sitting on my hands at the moment because I've had a couple of issues this morning with regards to my live broker, my Forex funds. Their servers were down. They've just come back on live, so I can't trade on that as such because it's left such a gap in the market on the time frame, which is between half eight, and they didn't go back live until let's take a look. It was from the open of last night until now. Yeah, it's been up for an hour or two, to be fair. So I'll not be trading on my live account today. It's all about what we see on here and see how we see price action play out. So I'm going to pause the video again, just to give you where we are. We are in this price range at the moment. This touched in beautifully. It's actually went and pushed out of that, not so much out of the order block, because the order block started here. So this would have been in a bit of drawdown at this moment. Let's just see if we can get this played back out. So that would have been the entry. That's the order block there. It's going to push out that order block now, to be honest. Yeah, it's pushed out. So I'm glad we didn't enter that, to be fair. We're now heading into the imbalance. We'll tidy this up a bit more. And when you look at this as well, guys, we've got We've got a harmonic here as well, to be fair. And then normally these areas become significant, if that makes sense, because it's the ear B, you know, your X ear B, and these areas on the pullback become significant. And look at this here, it's right within the imbalance area. It's right on that imbalance area, so it's stacking confluences for us. Again, we're just going to pause the video, let this play out. We might find that this will come down and then may take out the higher side. It might leave footprints down here for later on in the New York session, to be fair. But we're going to pause the video, see where we're headed, but it's touched beautifully into this imbalance area. Again, this one here is just a 50% push of that leg there, okay? And then you've got imbalance. This imbalance here is this here, okay? So that there is that. You've got 50% push, and then we've got imbalance as well on this bit here, okay? So if you just get rid of that, well, we won't get rid of that, sorry. That there is the imbalance from that order block. You see as we go in closer. Let's take a look. There we are. So that's an order block in itself. Bit of a doji, and then you've got the imbalance down here. So I've got a range from the top to the bottom side. We're waiting for one of these to be broken, and then we'll take it from there, guys. Again, this is just going to be an analytical approach today. There's too many things going on from a trading aspect, from my broker being down. But again, we will take this as a trade for the documentation. If it comes down to touch into here, we'll still take it as a trade. If we get a break from here and a break on the higher side, we will look for a re-entry on an order block from around about this sort of area. Okay, so pause the video. We'll be back in a moment. Let's get this highlighted up. We've had a bit more movement in the charts, guys. You can see on here, as we've had the push down, we're heading towards the 50% of the push area. Okay, I'm just going to highlight this in a couple of important areas coming at the moment. We've more or less wicked into that. Let's cancel that off, go back out. Just going to get rid of that 50% push because we're heading down towards that. And we've met that. Again, we've pushed through the imbalance as well. Okay, so we can get rid of that. And it's slowly coming back down and meeting our footprints. Okay, so again, this is a range at the moment. This here is the next order block area. And we have been around about half a pip from entering to be able to, I mean, if you went on a trade on this, if it was to come down onto that area. But I'm still anticipating for this down here. I'm waiting for the play on that. You could get a 1-753 on that, to be fair. That could be worth a risk of a 0.5% of a trade, to be fair. But again, just take a look at what we've got on price action at the moment. So we've got selling power all the way down to there. You've got imbalance here, okay? And sell. You can see at the moment, as that's been selling power there, that's come to mitigate into that imbalance area there. Obviously, anything else below this, anything else below here at the moment, certainly being filled. But look how that's wicked, come up and wicked beautifully into there. That there's a risk of just under, I mean, you could stem the flow a bit, bring that down to 2 pip stop. You could have this as an entry of a 1 to 5.65. But again, I've got to stress we still have, in essence, obviously the order block, the imbalance, and then the order block on the lower side. I do think it's going to come down towards this area here. Again, it's wicked beautifully into this, so we might get a second drive down. So I'm just going to put on here, this is not your trade. On there, we are anticipating this one here still. Okay, again, we're not rushing into anything with it being Monday. This is the one I would be edging towards. Okay, that's the one I'm edging towards. We'll come back in a moment. We'll see if this plays out. There's no harm in marking it up just to see what happens, just for price action, if that makes sense. We can see this is wicked beautifully. This is wicked beautifully into this. You know what I mean? This imbalance area, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm just trying to be visual here, guys. It's not always about taking trades. Sometimes it's just about marking charts up and letting you see what I'm seeing, what I'm looking at, and where we're heading towards, sort of thing. Again, we'll keep this marked up. And then from there, if we do get a drive and a push up to the higher side up here, I will just simply delete this footprint away because it no longer is validated. It's just giving you an idea of where we are, what's happening, and where price is heading to. Okay, so hopefully you're taking notes and you're taking a little something out of here. And also, not only that, it's allowing you to be able to see the price for what I see, that where it's heading to and how it's respecting these areas. And you can go down on your 1 minute charts and start practicing these within your 1 minute charts as well. We'll see what happens with that. See we'll finally get. Let's take a look. Let's get the right thing on. See we get this sort of action. We might get that. We may get that to get that on the high side. Or again, we may get that to come down to possibly come up to come further down here. Okay, we might get one or two of those. It just depends. And again, let's put a question mark here. We'll see what price wants to do. Or you could see price go from here. It's already mitigated into there, and it might just push straight down, to be honest. Let's get rid of that. We might sort of get that. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we've mitigated into this. Let's see what happens. I'll just pause the video and we'll be back in a moment, guys. I hit the record and stop by accident there, guys. So there might be a little bit of a jump on there. So I'm just going to pause the recording there. Just bear with me. There we go, guys. This is why I didn't take this trade, because it came down. It would have stopped us out, even though we were protecting from, let's just get rid of some of the noise. Even though we would protect ourselves from the imbalance, because it's imbalance here. Now I can get rid of that order block because it's been met. We can get rid of this. Get rid of this. We'll get rid of all of this noise. So we've had the touch up into the imbalance of this, okay? And then we've come down and we've taken out this imbalance. It's wicked beautifully into it. So again, what you've got there is from an imbalance, you could have had the trade going from the imbalance area, going down to just underneath where the imbalance started. And then you could be targeting the higher ends, or you could target to that imbalance there, to be fair. There's a good 1 to 10 there, to be fair, to be honest. And again, this is all about just refining entries and things like that. You could have this underneath the wick of the impulse move down. It's giving you now a 1 to 645. Again, this is not a trade, guys, because I've missed the entry. but we're just having a look at price action, and we're seeing what happens just to see if it respects it, because we have broke out of this lower side with the imbalance, but there's no sort of wax on the candle, if that makes sense. And I'm using this as an analytical approach, and hopefully drawing out these areas is just giving you some form of identification on how to identify the areas of imbalance and order blocks, so that makes sense. Again, looks as if we may actually get this to push out through here. If it does, we're then going to be hunting for the imbalance on this lower side, and this entry, what I was mentioning from this morning, has been the one to anticipate, to be fair. The strong structure at the moment is this as well, okay? And I say this because it's imbalanced, but also from a harmonic standpoint, it is on the A, B, C leg. The B leg here is going to be very highly important when it comes to it. But we'll see what happens with this. We'll pause the video and we'll be back in a second. And there we have it, guys. Again, patience pays off. We did our analysis this morning, and the analysis was on the preference. We can get rid of this now because that is played out. I can also get rid of that now because that has played out. Oh, let's go back one. Get rid of that. So what we've had here, guys, what have I just knocked off there? Yeah. We can get rid of the imbalance. Doesn't want to behave, does it? Right. Get rid of the imbalance. Get rid of that line there. So we're heading down towards our entry now. So we're looking good. Again, we were patient. We were patient. We are not only just heading for that. You can see, look at that. And again, I don't make this up, guys. Very strong point from the harmonic standpoint. We might get a push back up. I don't think it'll go as high as this. Will we get the actual drive and initial push through? It's wicked off that. It's going to come down and push out of that. There's the imbalance met on that. We can now get rid of that there. Now we're looking for an entry down to here. Now, how spot on will I be? Will it actually wick into the order block? Or has the USD become strong that it's actually going to push through and then knock the order block out and then also take out this here? Because again, that's your lower. There's your lower high there. We're going to get a touch Henry right on the point where I put the eclipse. Yes, wick entry, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Are we going to get the push up to these higher sides? Again, we've got a couple of targets here, to be fair. We could go for the imbalance of here. That's a 1 to 4. Again, you've got this here, which is a 1 to 2.58. I think I might bring this to the 1 to 4, 1.6 at the moment. Let's hope this structure will hold. And again, like I see, I marked this out early this morning. It's took its time. Let's just take a look from there. It's took it an hour to come back to play into that area. But again, this just verifies why we take our time, why we mark out these areas. Let's just see if this structure holds, but that is more or less, you couldn't get it any more spot on to the pip. And also the entry point where I highlighted it with the eclipse has been spot on as well. Let's just see if this holds. I'll be back in a moment. I'm going to go and get me half-time cup of tea, and we'll be back in a moment, guys. We're going to try and head towards this 1 to 4 just to see if it gives us that. But I'm pretty chuffed with that entry and the analysis and the breakdown I've done with that. Bit of a slow start this morning, but again, seeing these things play out and getting to these areas is absolutely fantastic. And it does build upon the 3 things of the structure that I work upon, which is your confidence, which certainly that's boosted your confidence there. And then obviously, if this does play out, it then adds to the consistency. Your profitability will always come once them first two play out, and you start seeing those two play out quite a bit. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to go make my halftime cup of tea. Right, so we're hovering down on that order block at the moment. Again, halftime cup of tea, as I always do. Biscuit of choice today, a Kit Kat, cheese and onion crisps. Right, so where are we at? At the moment, we're hovering around about a pip or two above the entry area. From there, nothing really much else left to see other than obviously you see this area here. If you look along to where the area is, just straighten that out, you can see how it's pushed through. And not only has it pushed through, you can see how this holds relevance and importance. It's came down, it's come back up, and it's even respected it on a bounce up. So as we've dropped the ball and the price has come down, it's come down, we've come down, it's bounced back up to that area again. And again, on these harmonics, these areas hold loads of importance. It's just one of those areas where price is like, it's like a magnet, to be fair. So we'll just get rid of that. So anything else I can mention on here? I mean, obviously, between here and here, we mentioned 50% the area for the order block as well. It's respected that beautifully, so I can get rid of that. Just to clear up the chart a bit. We're starting to get a little bit of a movement. It looks like we're going to be sticking into this pair and its entirety today, that one trade. And again, this just shows you the importance of being disciplined, being patient, and you just let price come to where you expect and anticipate. Okay, so there is a couple of areas we could be looking to go for. There's imbalance here, there was imbalance here. Again, on the higher side, this is a range that we were looking to break out of. We broke out of that, so we can get rid of that. From there, let's just again condense the noise that we have coming down. And now we're starting to get the drive from the entry point. Again, that's a 1 to 416. So we type this on here, and we just put in 4.16 at the minute. Okay, so we know that that is going to be the price. Okay, we mark this down at the moment. You're about a 1 to 1 at the minute. There is things you could do to sort of take on the way up, but again, we sort of either close price when I'm comfortable with it, or we leave it to go to where we're anticipating. Again, you could set things on your MT4 where you could say, right, there's been a pullback situation sort of here. So as soon as I get to that point, one of the options you've got, if you wanted to, is I could say, well, I'm going to close half of my trade and move the stop loss to break even. So that's 50% take, move to BE. So you could do that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? Again, it just gives you a risk-free trade, and just one of the many options that you could do because you've hit a vital structure point. From there, again, just move this down to 1 to 5, 5, 1 to 1, 1, 5, 5, I should say. We'll go back up. We'll see what happens with this, guys. We'll let it play out. I'm going to be back in a second or two. I'm just going to have my cup of tea and see where we are from there. So just bear with me for 5 minutes just while I have my cup of tea, and then we'll see where price is after a while. Okay, be 2 seconds. Hi, guys. So taking another look at this, okay. I've got a 2% area here. So if you go down to that, that's going to give you around 1 to 2. So we're looking at this area as well as a possible exit at the moment. Overall, I do have the 416. Okay, you could do structure point, move to break even. So I think I'm just going to get rid of that. That was just to show you something that you could do within the market. So I'm looking at this area at the moment. Just for, I'll be happy to take a 2%, to be fair. Again, I'm not greedy. I just like to be in and out, to be honest. From there, possible pattern formation. You've got from the top to here. You've got the wick to the wick and the lower. You could, on the 416 exit, you could end up going up to here, performing. I do believe it's a bat formation on the harmonic. Just going to leave that there. Have that as a point of a reversal. If we go to 2% though, this area here, I'll be happy to close that out, to be fair. That there, the 2% area, we go up and touch into that if we do, and this holds its structure from where it's at. I'll just close that out and call it a 2% trade, to be fair. I'm not too bothered about going right up to the 4%, if I'm honest with you. At the moment, we're testing and holding structure on here. We might get a reversal, because that there in itself, let's just take a look at this, okay? That there has been a break of structure, okay? So up here holds liquidity. So the 2% area, a couple of things why I went for that, because that's more or less 2% area. Again, that there's holding liquidity, sort of, okay, because it's created a high, okay? So as we do this, we can see we've got liquidity there, right on that 2% area. Again, doing that, we are looking order block. That there now holds relevance as an order block area. So technically what you could do, and again, we'll just mark this out for fun. You could have that as a second entry down to here, and your liquidity up to here. You could be getting another trade of a 1 to 2.5. We'll just hold that there. Again, this one here on the black and the being there. That there, not a trade. We're just marking this up for fun, and we're just looking for sort of things, to be fair. If we just, again, mark that out there, make it white, do it black, and just highlight it. So that there's not a trade in itself. We're just going to see how it plays out. That'll be a 1 to 2.5, whereas that this bigger picture is a 1 to 4. I'll be happy if this goes to here. I'll close this out on a just over a 2% trade, to be fair. But again, you could in essence have two entries. Obviously, we're in live one at the moment on a 2%. You could have had a second entry here and played a second entry, if that makes sense, up to this. That would have given you a 4% without it having to push to the higher side. So there's lots of different things you can do to sort of make the markets work for you and let price work for you better than what you've initially got drawn out, if that makes sense. Again, we may very well get a push and take out the order block here and also the order block there. If we do, and we come out of this here, and we get a push out of here, okay, which can happen, it could happen. It just means that this invalidates the whole of that up move, and then we're looking for a bearish move. So then we would look for an order block on this high side, okay? So again, that one there, this here, is not a trade, just something I've marked out for fun, just to see if it plays out. And just to give you some extra visualization on what I look at on price movement and things like that. So again, if you need to, pause the video, highlight things, document it, and timestamp it. So if you need to look back on certain things and it gives you that little bit of a spark and light bulb moment, then at least you can document it, archive it, and go back to see what you've been watching. Okay, guys? So I'm just going to pause the video, and we'll be back in a moment. Here we go there, guys. And again, this was not a trade, it was just something we marked up. It looks as if it might smack this bit out of the order block. And if it does, we're still in drawdown on the main one as well. We didn't go up to respect the 2%, or at least we more or less did do, but we didn't close out this trade. This trade's still live. We're now in drawdown on there. Let's see what happens. Again, this might just be a double mitigation down into the higher end of the order block, to be honest. See if it just holds structure. It's got to break out of this one to sort of kill this zone, if that was the way to put it. It looks as if it's going to do that in the next couple of pushes here, to be fair. We'll just hang on live for a second. Again, don't hide behind anything. I'm just marking out structure as it is. We'll see how it plays. And this this looks as if it just touched into that. Yeah, and that sort of knocked that trade. This is not a losing trade. It was just a structural clear point, if that makes sense. So again, we simply had our little bit of fun on structure. We can get rid of this. Or in fact, is that just wicked out, has it? Let's take a look. Yeah, that's just wicked out. So I'm just going to get rid of that. We're still in play. We're still in play. We're in drawdown, to be fair. Let's go out. We are in drawdown. Again, that just invalidates this. And we'll just get rid of that. And it's going to knock us out of the bigger, it's going to knock us out of that bigger move as well, to be fair. And it looks like it's going to head us down towards the next area, which is this here. There's going to be an aggressive push down here. When you're getting candles like this, you know there's just going to be a push down. From a standpoint, there's the take on the breaker structure of that, and it's going to stop us out on the 1%. It's definitely coming. There's a breaker structure there. It's going to stop. I'll be very surprised if this does maintain and hold its structure. It's heading down towards this here. There's a stop out, guys. Yeah, it's stopping out. It's now heading towards that bit there. So again, -1 for the day. We can get rid of some of this noise now. And it's even broke the structure of the lower low. So again, from that standpoint, I would have had the return on the order block, possibly here. Short position from there, order block just above, push down to here, 1 to 5. Just going to get rid of some of this. Get rid of that. No, we want that back in. Is that there? Get rid of that. And get rid of that. And so now we're heading down. Again, I don't think we're going to get an entry on this, to be fair, but there's a 1 to 5, 3, 3 there now. Let's take a look. Minimize that in. -1. A little bit gutted about that one, guys, simply because we held and we were anticipating that to come in and for it to test us, but hey, you can't win them all. It's not about being perfect. It's just about understanding where price would end. And we did get to be honest, we did get a good pip entry, and then we moved up towards that 2%. Maybe we should have taken it when we first went towards the 2%. Because taking a 1 to 2 on anything any day of the week, it's a good trade to take, to be fair. We're going to pause the video, and we'll be back with an end of session conclusion and a full-time talk, as I call it. So just bear with me, guys. Right, guys, here we are. So as you can see, we've just smashed through this. The euro must have got weak. Again, this is the anticipation of my bias. We're heading down towards this area that I thought we may do. Again, we've been stuck in a consolidated phase for a while, to be fair, between the crossbar and the goal line, as I would call it. From there, let's just open up the Excel sheet. And let's mark this down. So the 25th, we've got a loss today, -1. Tomorrow, tomorrow I'm at hospital, so there'll be no trading for me tomorrow, to be fair, 26th. So let's get this marked out. Back. We're going to have a full-time talk in a minute, guys. Got that. I might as well mark this out for tomorrow, to be fair. Because like I say, I'm at hospital for my treatment, 27th. Right, so don't forget to take off that -1. So that's down to 40.92%. That's that. So I'm not worried overall, to be fair. So that's updating that. Again, we did anticipate a good move, to be fair, today. We held and we were patient, which was the price to come back down, and it mitigated beautifully to that area there. We could have had around about a 2% move, to be honest, on this here. We didn't take it out. We should have, in hindsight, if we looked at it. We anticipate a bit more of a push up. However, the euro grew weak, the USD got strong, and we had this big spike down. It stopped us out, -1% for the day. So altogether, not lost. So I'm just going to stop the share and just make my head a little bit bigger on there. So we started off the week Monday. I couldn't get into a live trade on my live account because the broker I use, my Forex funds, the server was down, but it's back up and running. Just to talk about something, what I'm doing with that as well, obviously the scalping sort of stuff. I use my Rapid account. I've got a Rapid account which I use on there for the 1 minute scalp at the moment for the London session. I've just opened up a new account for my Forex funds on an accelerated account status. I'm just getting the login details through for that. So I'm going to be doing some New York scalping just around about 2 o'clock this afternoon. I don't think I'm going to be doing the sessions recorded on that because that is my accelerated account, and I'm going to be growing that as well. On top of that, guys, I've got some exciting stuff coming, which I'm testing on a gold scalp to get through sort of challenges, but I'm testing that up until the end of this year because we're coming to the quieter months, to be fair. And as we head into November, especially November, I think I'll be doing the videos and doing more on market structure and point of interest and doing these on a daily on the London Opens and things like that, just so I can give you guys a bit more of an in-depth analysis look on how price moves and respects areas, rather than try to do it as a trading aspect. If that is something that interests you, just drop us a comment below. I think that's going to be the approach going into November. Not do it as a trading style look, saying like, look, we're looking at this, we're risking 1%, we're going to be going to that break structure. We'll do a bit more in depth on market structure and things like that, how we identify them and how they play out. Okay, so again, it's a start of a new week. We started with 1% down. It's not a worry. Tomorrow, unfortunately, I'm at hospital, got to go and see my rheumatologist and speak about my treatment and things like that and let them take more blood from me. So tomorrow will be a non-trading day. The rest of this week, obviously, it's the kids are off school. They're on holiday for half term, I think it's called. It's heading towards Christmas. They're off all this week, so I've got them as well. So what we'll do is I'll try and get on these each morning to still document what we're doing. Again, over the 6 weeks, we're still got over 40%. So it just showing you that being patient, setting the goals with the goalposts and things like that is imperative. We don't sort of rush into trades. With them being set like that, and I've said this from the very beginning, you only need to be looking for 1 or 2 trades, to be honest, from that breaker structure within that time parameter. And the reason I choose from 8:30 till 10:30 is because that's when the Frankfurt Open is. It's when the London and the change of hands in the gap in the markets there, and then we should get the movement. We should get the movement within that time frame on the morning. Okay, and again, I haven't chosen a pair just yet for my New York session. I don't know whether to stay with Euro USD because obviously US dollar, or I might revert to the USD JPY, one of my favorite pairs I used to trade back in the day when I did longer term trading, which is when I based everything on the 1 hour time frame. So there hasn't really been much as such from today's session, other than obviously showing you the patience in being what happens when you are patient, looking at the structure from hindsight, as we did on the video there just earlier on. We should have really have taken profit out at 2% and just closed it out, to be fair, because anything that's going from a risk to reward of a 1 to 2, we should be heading to take out on those, to be fair, because after all, this is a scalping. So I would have been happy with that 2%, but we didn't. We held, we anticipated, and unfortunately it went against us for today. But again, if you're enjoying the stuff that I'm doing, please don't forget to hit the subscribe, give it a thumbs up, hit the notification bell. And if you want to become a bit more of a member and get inside of this stuff, hit the join button and become a Spark or a Fire member, guys. Okay, I'll see you all later on today. See you later.